I'm pleased to get back on this show, Ozzie Jurock. Ozzie, last week we had a discussion about the Office of Superintendent of Financial Institutions proposing a new stress test for people who have mortgages, want to get a mortgage. And I thought this was important. I want to come back to it because the impact could be very, very significant, removing even more people as potential buyers or owners of real estate. Let's describe, first of all, what it is.
Well, they're proposing changes that would require stress tests for all uninsured mortgages of at least 2% above the contract rate. And there's two things here. Uninsured mortgages, we already have a stress test for the first-time buyer's insured mortgage. And then it's the word at least 2%. Could one lead to believe it could be higher because they're now also requiring that all loan-to-value measurements remain dynamic and adjust for local market conditions when they could be used as a risk controls, such as for qualifying buyers. And I assume they leave the door open that they could raise that 2% level. And then they finally express they prohibit expressly co-lending arrangements that are designed to sort of circumvent the requirements. So it's a fairly draconian new idea that they're floating, and if they believe by August 15 that the response has been reasonable, then that'll be law.
So the bottom line is this. I walk in, I want to get a mortgage, and they check my income figures and all of that stuff, and they say, what we might think is they do it on the rate that it is today. Let's see if you can afford payments if mortgage rates are, say, 3%. They're saying that's the stress. Can you handle the financial stress? They're saying, no, it doesn't matter that mortgage is at 3%. You got to qualify as if it was at 5%. So, and as you say, it could be even higher. So obviously, maybe I can make all those payments if it's a 3% mortgage, but I can't make them if it's a 5% mortgage. Well, I'm out of luck then.
Well, the thing is that remember that the uninsured mortgage is usually a mortgage that has 20% down. And it doesn't matter how much down payment you have. You could have 40% down. You could have impeccable credit. You could have an impeccable employment record. That doesn't matter. It could effectively, according to the Mortgage Broker Association, result in elimination of 20% of the home buyers just because they don't qualify.
I mean, and this is incredible. I've said well before when we started to talk about this stuff well over a year ago, February, when on this show you said, and we certainly agree completely, that it looked like the governments were starting a process to kill the real estate market. It looks like they may have been more successful than they thought in Ontario already, by the way. But here's another big one. They had the mortgages changed in October and some of the rules. Now they may institute another one. So we've got to keep an eye on this because, as Ozzie says, hey, presto, about 20% of the people who want to get in that market are not going to be eligible anymore. It really is quite something, eh?
Well, it's something particularly smaller markets. Look, Mike, Vancouver and Toronto are so expensive already. It doesn't going to be that big an impact because you have to already qualify for millions of dollars. But in a smaller market, even though you have 20 or 30 or 40% down, you're really cutting back. I mean, the smaller market incomes are much lower. There's a greater number of people in single-family households. All of those reasons will really that we are supposed to help affordability. We're supposed to be the help the first-time buyer, and we're doing the opposite. I mean, nobody goes after the huge 26 to 28% credit card interest rates, or the department stores' credit rates, or the food stores, for goodness sakes. And here we have the backbone of the Canadian is its own home. We have 65% of people owning one. And we're going to make it harder for them to buy as if they were responsible for the enormous house price increases in Toronto and Vancouver.
It's a great point you're making. I just want to make sure and clarify one other thing. This is going to hurt the first-time guy or the person just getting into the market. Will it impact people who are in the market, they have a mortgage, and they're going to roll that mortgage over?
No, that would really be the final straw. No, once you have your mortgage and renewal comes in, no, that's not the key. The key is that already the first-time buyer has to qualify at a higher rate at 4.64% right now. This would just affect everybody, mother, children, whoever, even 95% down payment it would affect. And already we have the barn door is closing when already the horse is gone. And the Canadian Real Estate Association reported a 7-year low in sales in June. We have actually have an 11% fewer sales in June over last June, and the average price is up a measly 0.4%. The market is already adjusting itself.
Let me just very quickly, if you want to comment on this and sort of get a hold of the government on this, go to tellyourmp.ca, www.tellyourmp.ca, one word, tellyourmp.ca. I think you need to be heard on this one. Ozzie, we got to have a lot more time to talk about that and the impact, but let's finish on a positive note. You got a hot property for me.
Yeah, I think it's a real good one. It's in Sydney. It's the least expensive house with a suite in Sydney. It's 4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. It's listed at $649,000, and in that crazy market, they'll be reviewing offers on Wednesday. But the income is just under $3,000. So, hey, only 4 homes with suites have sold for less in Sydney so far this year. So that's our hot property of the week.
Ozzie Jurock, our go-to man. We got all things real estate. Ozzie, thanks for taking the time. Have a terrific weekend.
And I will, and you too, and your listeners.
You can find more on this at any hot property. You go to click on the button. You have to check them out yourself. These are things that Ozzie finds interesting and wants to bring to our attention. www.jurock.com.